Within Selenium IDE, you may have seen that there are two sets of commands that are awfully similar, assert and verify. Each has many options and indeed mirror each other with one subtle difference, how they are intended to behave when they fail a check within a test. Understanding the difference and when to use each of these is important, so let's take a look at each of these in action. So we have an interesting site here. We have some validation that we want to test. So we're going to record a test here, and as we go in, we'll just hit the save button. And when we do that, we need to validate a bunch of text on this occurs. So we need to say, hey, let's make sure that this main message occurs. Let's assert that. And let's each of these things. So the title of the event's required, so we better assert that that happens. So let's assert that. And the location is required, so we better assert that that's the case. And so we can see this is really easy to build it. I can just go through assert, and the description again is required, and I can say assert on any one of those. So there's an easy test. So when I hit the button, I should assert on all those, and if I run the test again, perfect, it runs great. Now, that's the assert. What happens on the assert then is if the test doesn't quite run as is expected. Let's say that the text that I just saved right there wasn't indeed. If I look at the requirements document, I can see, well, maybe it wasn't, maybe it's supposed to say, please correct the following errors, ... Maybe this is what the requirement says it's supposed to be, and our job is to be particular. We need it to say exactly that. So when I run, well, I didn't test the rest of this. I stopped at the first one. So let's say that many of these guys were off. So the title of the event is required. Maybe it's not supposed to have a period there. And location is required. Location, maybe it should be a location of the event is required. So as I'm doing the requirements, I shouldn't just trust the page on the text. I should be looking at this inside of here. And then description is required. So let's just say this should be event description is required. So inside of this, I could go through, run the test and fail, and the developer could come by and say, oh, well, look, when I ran the test, this failed. And I go back and I fix that. I test it locally. I do a build. I send it to the server. It gets deployed. Next day, it comes back. And then I'd run that one. And guess what? The next error would be found. Go through the cycle again. Next day, send it off, fix that, go back, come back. The next one would be found. Well, that's highly undesirable. I don't want my testing cycle to go over many days for things that should be checked right there. Now, when I did my check inside of here, notice I right-clicked and it said assert, because that's the one that pops up right away. The proper choice inside of here should have been go to all the commands here and then pick the verify inside of here. So I can do that just as easily by checking it on this side. I'm going to go over here and change assert to be verify text. So now by changing this to be verify, when I run the test again,